Hello, Eleni. How are you?
Hi. I could say exactly the same for you. Your introduction was perfect, and it's exactly the same way that I remember of you. So yeah, I'm really excited to be here, and thank you for inviting me. And I'm happy to participate in this lovely interview.
Yes. When I think back during our time at Sheffield University, I'm just like, I don't know, I'm really proud of how far we've both come. And so that's why I was really excited to speak to you today. And yeah, let's get started. So for those who are listening in, could you give like a bit of like an introduction on what you do? This doesn't necessarily mean like a job title as such, but just tell us about yourself.
Okay, so I had a think about what I do, and I think that what I do is multitasking. That's definitely not a job title, because at the minute I'm doing one too many things. So I'm a chemical engineer coming from a complete chemical engineering background. Did my undergrad in Greece, where I'm from, then moved to the UK for a master's, and then followed up with a PhD, because why not? And during my PhD, I realized that there are so many other things other than chemical engineering for sure, and other than research. So I dived into all these extracurriculars, and I realized that I enjoy them almost as much as I enjoy doing research. So after I finished my PhD, I got involved with a bit of freelancing on content creation, a bit of like science communication, things like that. And then very, very recently, I started a postdoc on chemical engineering, surprise, which is not just that though, it's chemical engineering plus networking. So it's right up my alley, and we'll see how that goes. So yeah, I describe myself as a multitasker for sure.
I definitely, you know what, like a lot of people I speak to on Inspiring Figures describe themselves the same way, because like I think a lot of us nowadays have started to realize that there's not just one like path for us. There's always like various different things that we're interested in that we can, you know, maybe merge into one career or just do a bit of everything really. So a multitasker, I completely relate. Like I said, like I'm always really interested in learning about people's journeys, and the reason I like, I'm so interested in it is because I've seen the firsthand impact that it has to encourage people who also wants to, follow a similar journey. Because at the end of the day, the more you share your story, you have no idea how many people you impact and how impactful it is to other people. So could you tell us a bit about how you got to where you are today?
That's a very interesting question, and same as you, I'm very interested in learning about other people's stories, because sometimes they can be like the best of inspiration, and it just changes your perspective completely. So where I'm coming from, it was like you go to uni and then you get a job in industry probably. When I moved here and I started my PhD, it was you finish your PhD and then you get a job in industry, or you stay in academia. So it was just these two options. And at the minute, it seemed, when I started, it was like, okay, sure, I'll decide one of them later. But as later was coming, I realized that I don't like any of these options as they like are advertised in that way. So I started chatting with people who had kind of a different perspective, a different career path, a different journey. And I realized that you start as something and you might end up as something completely different. And that's absolutely fine. And a career path is not just straight. So that was kind of the same with me. As I said, I'm coming from a solid chemical engineering background. During my PhD, I kind of twisted to a more environmental perspective, a more bio perspective, and then with my extracurriculars on a more admin perspective, a more just get people together to do stuff perspective. So my journey was like, I finished my PhD and then I struggled to get a job to begin with because of that kind of career switch mindset I had. So it wasn't straightforward. And then I landed some freelance contracts. And then later on, I landed this postdoc, which again, they were based on my experience of my background, obviously, but also on my extracurriculars and the people I knew. So that's always something to keep in mind. It's not just a straight line, and it can go sideways, but the good side of sideways.
Yeah, no, I can't agree enough, because like I think like you said, I know from my personal experience growing up, there was always like only one or two options. And then when I got to university, again, a similar thing was presented to me. You could either be a doctor or you could do research. And I didn't like any of the options at all. So yeah, I did a similar thing. And, when I look back on it, and I try to explain it to people, it can be quite difficult because people are like, oh, just get to the point, because I don't understand how you got from like a medical science degree to tech. And so it's like trying to paint a picture that, and trying to normalize that career journeys aren't a straight path. I might do another career switch. Who knows? I might be a talk host in like a few years. Who knows? So yeah, it isn't like a straight line, and I love how you really demonstrate that. So like I've really, really enjoyed following you on Instagram over the last few months. Honestly, you're one of my favorite Instagrammers that I follow, and that I regularly like watch your updates and stories and like posts. Honestly, I love it. So it's been really lovely to see you share your story and getting your PhD and what it's like in academia and your current experiences. It's honestly been really insightful. I wanted to ask a few questions around, the content creation and, sharing. So my first question would be, what or who inspired you to start sharing your story?
I don't think, first of all, thank you so much. I'm very inspired by you as well. With regards to your question, I don't think there's a solid answer like X, Y, or Z, but I started my Instagram for fun. Like if you go really, really, really down in my posts, it's just cute photos because I thought that was Instagram. And then I realized that there are some people out there on Instagram who are in a similar situation doing their PhDs or like undergrad or masters or whatever, and they're sharing their experiences from that, these daily activities they have. And I realized that there are also other people who are in deep shit, as I used to be when I started my Instagram with my PhD. So I started about 2.5 years ago, maybe, and it was a very kind of difficult period for me because things with my PhD were not going very well. So I was trying to figure out what else I could do to make things go better, or what else I can do to make myself feel better. So I started following all these people, and I realized that we do share very similar experiences, and if they can go out there and talk about them, so could I. So I started doing that, and it was helpful for me on a personal level because I was getting my frustration out. But also, it seemed like it was helpful for other people because they realized as well that there are other people as me sharing the same things. So we kind of created a community, if you want, and we kind of grew from each other. And with those people from like 2 years ago, we're still kind of in touch and we're following each other's updates. So yeah, I think that's how it started. And then the more I was on Instagram, the more I am on Instagram, the more people I meet from different career stages, if you want, because as I progress, they progress, other people progress, so you keep meeting new people, and it's always very inspiring.
Yeah, and it sounds like in the community that you've like sort of fell into and you've created, you're always like holding other people's hands and helping them move up in their own career based on, all the amazing content that you put out there. So no, it is really, really inspiring. So yeah, thank you, and continue to share that. In terms of like your journey, what would you say your biggest challenge has been so far?
It has to be something related to my PhD for sure. And since today it's the International Mental Health Day, I mean, it fits perfectly. So the biggest challenge was to overcome the fact that like the thought I had when I started my PhD that it will be perfect. I will solve the problems. I will change the world and whatever. And I think that a lot of people start their projects like that, which is not a bad start, definitely. I mean, you have to be motivated. But at some point, you need to get realistic that the tiniest of tiniest things you're studying in your PhD is not going to change much, really. And it might not even work, as it was in my case. Because I started with all these ambitions and all that motivation and all that kind of base of pre-existing work. And I soon realized that this base was not a very stable base. So I had to redo lots of work. And I realized that my project was not as straightforward or as successful as it should be. And it took me a long way to feel okay with that. Because I spent a couple of years, as I said, being on the lowest of lows and thinking that it's all my fault and it's because I'm a bad researcher, it's because I don't belong in a lab, it's because I don't know how to read the papers or whatever. But I realized it wasn't my problem necessarily. Because of course there are other issues which are like imposter syndrome, feeling that I'm never going to be good enough and that's my problem. Or other issues such as, maybe not in my case, but definitely other people are fighting with lack of supervision and lack of support. And these are very, very challenging, especially when you're in the context of a PhD where you need support and you need to know that you're on the right path. But on the other hand, what is the right path? It's research. There's never a right path. So it's kind of a mess.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was definitely a challenge. And maybe another challenge after I finished my PhD was to reestablish my identity. Because during those 4 years of doing research and having a very, very particular goal in mind, I kind of lost myself.
Yeah.
And it's been exciting to refine myself, if it makes sense. But also it's been weird because you don't know what you're looking for and you just go and you think, you try things out, and if they work, they work. If they don't work, they don't work, and then you move forward. But it's a completely different context because you live your safe bubble of the past 4 or 5 years and you need to regain confidence in your abilities. You need to see what you want to do after. So yeah, that's been challenging as well.
Yeah. No, I can't agree. Can I just say thank you so much for being really transparent, because I know it takes a lot of courage to share that. And I've seen some of your Instagram posts that really talk about the things that people don't really talk about on social media, because they want to say everything's always positive and everything always goes right eventually. But sharing those pitfalls in your journey is really, really important. And I know it has really massively impacted someone's life. So thank you so much for sharing that. And yeah, I think what you said about regaining confidence and rebuilding your identity, it can be quite difficult to do that once you've gone through some failures, and then trying to rebuild and move away from your comfort zone that you've been stuck in over the last few years. And it's crazy, but it's nice to see that you are thriving and that you're mindful enough to be aware of it and reflect on it. And I think that's what makes you very resilient and a very inspiration for everyone, really. So thank you so much for sharing that. And in terms of your academic life, did anything surprise you?
Initially not, I'd say, because I didn't know what to expect. But a PhD, it's a long way of 3 to 5 years. So you experience a lot, even whether you want it or not, necessarily. And a couple of things that inspired me were, first of all, the lack of support towards PhD researchers, because I realized that not me right now, but PhD researchers are doing all the work, are pulling all the load, because that's where professors are based, to get all the data, the hard data, and then they analyze them, produce this Nobel Prize in bioresearch. But we're not getting support. There are some job titles such as researcher support and development, but I don't think they're doing as much as they could be doing, especially to support the mental health of people like us, who spend their days and nights in labs and desks and analyzing data, collecting data, everything regarding data. And that's one thing. And the other thing is, I don't know how to say that without being disgraceful or not being grateful for what has been given to me. But I think that the education in the UK has been so badly monetized that everything is about money, and sometimes quality goes down the drain, which I understand that train of thought. I mean, you have to make your money at the end of the day. But if you're kind of sacrificing people towards that, it's not a very nice thing to do. I don't know how it could change, but I'm just pointing it out.
Thank you again for being so honest, because that is something that, even though I'm not in the academia bubble as such, I've been reading a lot about people on Twitter that I follow, like yourself, who have voiced their concerns in terms of like higher education and how sometimes it lacks support, especially when it comes to mental health, and also how it's starting to feel more like a business. So yeah, thank you so much for like sharing that. I don't know how we can solve it, but I think the more people like you who speak up over it, like really honestly, that's definitely heading in the right direction. So thank you for that. And in terms of like your journey again, like what has been the thing that you're so proud of that you just want to tell everyone that you did?
Okay. So I have a serious answer and I have a ridiculous answer. Which
Go
one?
on, let's go. Well, both of them. Let's go.
Okay, serious answer. How far I've come since I moved in the UK, because I came as a person who didn't really know what was outside their flat. And then now I think I don't want to say I'm well aware of everything that's been going on, but I'm definitely more aware about things. And I've grew so much through my PhD and after. And over the past few months with COVID, I mean, they've been very tough, but also very rewarding in different senses. And yeah, so I'm proud that I finished my PhD on time, even earlier. I'm proud that I submitted a perfect thesis, not my words. I'm proud that I managed to survive the pandemic. I'm proud that I managed to keep going. I've had very, very low moments, but I pulled through, I think, and I'm still pulling through. So yeah, there's that. And then the ridiculous answer is I'm proud of my earrings collection. I don't know, just take so much pride in my accessories. But, yeah.
I was gonna say, like, I forgot to compliment you earlier, but I love your earrings. I was gonna say earlier, so no, thank you for that. I think, like I said earlier, I've been following you on social media, and you're one of my favorite to follow. So it has been nice to see you like be really open, and then also share your wins, because I feel like they're my wins as well. I'm just like, yeah, I'm so happy for you. Well done. So yeah, no, that's great. What is your top learning from your like PhD / being in academia, and like what one thing would you share to people who are pursuing a similar journey?
My top learning, again, it's a dual answer, and the first bit goes for the earlier stages, the second bit goes for the later stage of a PhD. So the first bit is that it's never going to be perfect. Your PhD, your research, your gainings, your anything, it's never going to be perfect. So stop fighting for perfection. Because when you're sold into a PhD, your supervisor or whoever approaches you with a topic, they'll be like, oh yeah, you're going to solve I don't know what, and everybody's relying on you and you need to do it and it's going to be easy. I don't know. And yeah, things like that. So no, it's not going to be easy. You're not going to save anyone. You're going to add something, definitely, because that's the point of a PhD, adding just a bit of new research on top of pre-existing research. But it's not going to be perfect. You're going to have many rough moments during your journey. And that's fine, not normalizing weird stuff happening, because there's so much weird stuff happening in academia. But I'm trying to normalize the fact that research is not perfect, and it's not meant to be perfect. Otherwise, there wouldn't be any point of looking for more.
Yeah.
We would know everything. The second bit, towards the later stage of a PhD, is don't take bullshit. And yeah, I'm not kidding. No, you're going to hear so much as in, oh, you need to behave like that. Oh, if your supervisor does that, it's normal. It's not, and you shouldn't be behaving like that. And yeah, just speak up. And I'm saying just speak up, not because it's easy, but because if you do it, you're definitely going to feel better for yourselves. And then you're probably going to end up helping other people as well. So yeah, these are the two key learnings.
I wanna like clap. Like, can we just like clap for that? Because that was amazing. No, that was a really good like top learning and key thing. And I think that don't take bullshit. That is like that is like universal across the board. So I definitely felt that. I felt that in my heart. So thank you for sharing that. So no, that was. Thank you so much for sharing your journey. I'm sort of like, I don't know, I'm feeling a lot of things right now, but the main thing is just really inspired. Thank you so much for being honest. And the next thing I want to talk about is just another aspect that you share a lot on social media is related to job hunting. And I love that you, again, share it so openly, because it can be quite helpful to a lot of people. What do you think right now is the common mistake that people make during their job hunting process?
A common mistake is, and I've done it many times, is that we're not tailoring our applications correctly to the job advertised. So there are not as many job titles if you want, especially if you're looking for a very particular thing. There are not too many job titles. But if you read the specifics of every advertised job under the same job title, they might be quite different. So if you for example are looking for, I don't know, a coder's job or whatever, and your CV says I'm a coder, I know how to code in XYZ, and the job spec is like, we don't need a coder, we need someone who understands I don't know what plus coding, and then you've missed this bit, then you're not going to get selected for an interview. Or if you do, then you might not be given the job if you don't approach it correctly. So I think that a common mistake is that we're not tailoring appropriately, and that goes to say that if we don't care enough or we're not careful enough to read the job specs, then how do we expect to get that job?
Yeah.
There's that. And then another common mistake is that we might not realize what we really want to do. As I said earlier, from my perspective, there used to be just two outlays, being in academia or going to industry. And from my background, industry meant R&D or process engineering. And if I go out now and apply for a process engineering job, I might borderline get it, but I definitely will not want it. So if you're trying to apply for jobs because you have to, or because your dad said so, or because, I don't know, everybody else is doing it, it's not going to work out. And you'll keep wondering why I'm not getting these jobs when you have the background, but it's because you're lacking the passion and the motivation around it.
Yeah.
So that's another mistake. We need to kind of understand what we want first before start applying.
That's really good advice, because I think that's something that people miss. They sort of just want a job, but sometimes they need to look inwards to see if that is the right fit for them, or if they even want it, or if they're trying to please someone else when it actually has to come from you. So that's fantastic learning. What has been got it. Sorry, I lost my track there. What has been your biggest learning from job hunting?
I think the biggest learning, especially at the beginning stages, because I've been job hunting on and off for the past year or so, and it was a long time before I actually landed an opportunity. So I think that my biggest learning was not to take rejection personally. Because it's not that me personally got rejected. I don't know how many people applied for that specific role, but it was just one successful candidate, so everyone else was rejected, not just me. And that was definitely a learning that helped me build my resilience. And another learning was to fight for feedback, because that's another thing that people don't really talk about. You get rejected, and your feedback, if you get any, it's a generic email saying, "Oh, we're sorry you were not successful on this occasion." For fuck's sake. Or they might say there were people who were better. Yeah, okay, congrats, we know that, but what exactly were they better at? And I've discussed that with many people inside and outside the recruiting world, and their answers, if they're outside, were like, "Oh yeah, I don't get any feedback, and I'm asking for it, and nobody's giving me." And if they're inside, they usually say, "Oh, it's because of the volume of the applicants, and the volume of the applications received, and then they wouldn't have time to process all of them, and blah blah blah." And fair enough. Yeah, sure. But if the applicant comes back to you asking for feedback, then I think it should be a nice thing to say that, "Oh, you were not as successful because there you didn't have the experience." Not generally, you didn't have enough experience. On what? If you have a job specification with I don't know, 10, 15 points, you're not experienced in all of them, just one of them, which one? So you need I think that if I were a recruiter, I would have the approach of, "Oh, you're not successful, but that's how you can improve for next time in a role."
Yeah, I love that, because I just feel like a lot of businesses don't really take into account how much time and effort you put into things, and so it's the least you can do for a person's time that you interviewed is to give them some feedback. Even just that one liner, like you said, it's just better than nothing. So yeah, definitely agree on that. So my last question in terms of employability is, what is your main advice right now for people who are looking for a role during COVID? Because I can imagine it's a bit of a different market right now, isn't it?
It's a whole different market because I was actively applying for jobs, and then once COVID hit, I got rejected straight away saying, oh, this job is not open anymore. So it wasn't my problem. But yeah, the job opportunities had closed. So I guess my biggest advice on this front is, first of all, if you really need a job to get money in the bank, not necessarily to work on something that you like, then go get a whatever job. And then in that meantime, try to gain as much experience as you can in the things that you actually enjoy and you want to be employed in the future. For example, there are plenty of opportunities for online courses, seminars, maybe networking activities that you can get to meet people, you can get to build and improve your skills. And after all this pandemic is over, or when it's in a better state, you'll be able to demonstrate how you gain skills, how you survived it, how now you're in a better place, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. I mean, like the amount of people, because I'm very active on tech Twitter, and the amount of people who have suddenly joined like the tech Twitter space because they've realized that they need to like, maybe they got made redundant or they're looking for a career change. They've realized that tech is actually where there's like a skills shortage. So a lot of people I've seen over the last few months have started to learn how to code, which is amazing. And like you said, there's plenty of resources out there for people who want to give it a go. So yeah, that's really, really good advice. And one of my last questions is around working from home. I wanted to ask, like, firstly, how you're finding it, and have you got any advice for anyone who's like finding it difficult to focus and to adapt to this working from home life?
I'm wearing pajamas as bottoms. It's perfect. No, I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. I am wearing pajamas, but it's not perfect. So it's been kind of a huge transition for me because I used to leave the house, go to the office, do some work, come back, enjoy with my friends or whatever. And now it's just leave the bedroom, go to the kitchen, come back, enjoy with my friends, not really, whatever. So it's been difficult. And I think that something that has helped me was to have my bedroom separate, if that makes sense, not work in my bedroom, because then the barrier of work and non-working hours is very, very weird. And also another thing, especially when I wanted to get productive, was to wear work clothes, which meant to dress up, not too up, but wear proper trousers that make you feel slightly uncomfortable, so you feel like you're in the office. And also, yeah, just to keep in mind that you're working for 8, 10, whatever hours a day, but you need to have a structure on your working day. So if you wake up early, do your work, and then you have your afternoon, evening free, that's fine. If you are a later person, that's fine. But as long as you try to keep a balance, then I think that makes things easier.
Yeah. No, that's spot on. I think I've done the same. Like at the start of lockdown, I was really good at getting changed for work, but then now at the half of the year is already gone now. Like the second half, I'm just like in my pajamas all day. But like I can tell the difference when I put makeup on at least, compared to when I don't. So yeah, no, definitely, that's a really good advice. I know like this is one of the questions I ask everyone who goes into like inspiring figures, and that's around like what you're looking forward to most in 2020 for the rest of 2020, because I know it's like doom and gloom right now, and people don't really people just see a lot of negativity that's going on, but I'm sure we all have something to look forward to. What is that for you?
Is that similar to the answer given in world pageant saying, I want world peace or something? I want this pandemic to be over. Yeah, I know it's not necessarily on our hands, but it's something to look forward to. And with regards to my perspective, what I'm looking for is to grow personally, to develop myself, develop my skills alongside the pandemic and work from home situation. And yeah, keep growing. Spend quality time with my friends and family, because all this pandemic and restriction of traveling make you realize how difficult it is to be with your loving ones.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that you face some similar issues between Leeds and Sheffield, the same between Sheffield and Greece and all of the UK. But yeah, definitely spending more quality time with my people.
Yeah, no, that's a common answer that I've heard from a lot of people, because I think this pandemic has definitely made people realize the importance of our loved ones. Yeah, because you can't really see them easily. Like I love my family and I want to see them as often. At the same time, whenever I get a slight cough or I feel slightly unwell, I'm like, I'm not going there because I don't want to spread anything. So it is a really tough thing. And I hope that at the end of all of this, we, finish stronger together, But yeah, no, thank you so much. I've actually got one last question, and that is, where can people find you online?
Mainly on Instagram. I'm on Twitter as well. So Instagram is Eleni. Twitter is Eleni Rutula, which is my name. And then on LinkedIn, which again is Eleni Rutula. And yeah, these are the 3 platforms I'm hosting so far. I'm not a TikTok person, I'm sorry. No offense. Yeah, so these 3 places.
Can you imagine if you do go on TikTok, you'd just be like dancing to like scientific or like employability advice? Like it's amazing. TikTok is great.
I can't see myself doing that anytime soon. But if you want to do it on my behalf.
Oh, I'm trying to get into it, but I feel like I'm not that young anymore. I don't know. Even though I am still young, I don't know. It's weird. Thank you so much again, Eleni, for spending some time today to speak to me for Inspiring Figures. It was like such an honor to have you, and I'm feeling really inspired, and I can't wait to write up and share your story all over like my platform. So thank you so much. And as usual, like I said, I'll be doing a write-up of our conversation, which should be out next week. And everyone who's listening in, if you want to listen to more or read more inspiring stories, head over to inspiringfigures.co. But thank you so much, Eleni, for being here, and thank you all. We'll see you again next month. Bye.